You show up, you put in the time, you lift heavy, and you train consistently. But despite all that effort, your physique hasn't materially changed in months. It is an incredibly frustrating position to be in. Progress usually stalls because the training approach fails to account for the specific requirements of natural tissue repair. Most standard bodybuilding advice follows the methods of pharmacologically assisted athletes, whose biology responds to volume and frequency in ways a natural lifter cannot replicate. Look at this photo. This level of extreme muscular definition and symmetry is entirely achievable without chemical assistance. Elite natural athletes reach this point by manipulating their own biology through highly specific training constraints. Grab a piece of paper. By the end of this video, we are going to construct a customized 4-step training and recovery protocol that you can take straight into your next gym session. We are going to strip away the methods that are currently holding you back. Success for the natural athlete requires creating a very specific physiological environment, one that generic programs often inadvertently destroy. Step 1. Look at your current workout plan. Cross out 3 sets of 10 and write down 2 cluster sets per muscle group. Muscle growth requires a combination of mechanical tension and metabolic stress, but those forces only compel the muscle to adapt when you push a set to what exercise scientists call proximity to failure. This chart shows exactly where that threshold lives. If you pick up a weight that you can lift exactly 13 times before it becomes physically impossible to move, the first 10 reps do not trigger growth. The critical adaptation zone exists strictly in those final grinding efforts, reps 11, 12, and 13. Most people stop right before they reach that zone. To ensure you stay inside it, we use the cluster set. Here is how you perform it. First, lift your chosen weight to near failure, stopping when you are genuinely uncertain if you can complete the next rep. Then rack the weight and rest for exactly 10 to 15 seconds. This brief pause provides roughly 10 to 15% phosphocreatine recovery in the muscle. Now, pick the weight right back up and perform 2 to 4 more reps until you hit absolute failure. Rest another 10 to 15 seconds, and finally squeeze out 1 or 2 final repetitions. That entire sequence equals 1 single working set. Piling on more standard, comfortable sets without crossing that intensity threshold is just accumulating junk volume. Cluster sets force the tissue to adapt while eliminating the wasted energy that drains your recovery capacity. Step 2 is mapping your schedule. Write down a maximum of 1 to 2 sessions per week for any given muscle group and cap your total workout time at 30 to 45 minutes. We are implementing this restriction because standard programming relies on a dangerous assumption. Your actual muscle fibers recover fairly quickly, usually within 48 to 72 hours. But the rest of the physical system stressed during that workout have vastly different, longer repair windows. This chart tracks the body's repair timelines. While muscle fibers hit 100% recovery in 2 to 3 days, your connective tissue, your tendons, fascia, and ligaments, only heals at a rate of 0.5 to 2% per day. Full recovery from heavy mechanical loading can take weeks. Factor in your nervous system, which requires 5 to 10 days following high-intensity training, and your hormonal system, which takes 3 to 5 days to normalize. The data shows that when your muscles feel ready to lift again, your overall system is still in deep fatigue. High-volume, high-frequency programs are designed for athletes whose pharmacological support artificially accelerates connective tissue repair and limits central fatigue. Following them as a natural trainee leads directly to chronic overtraining. If you walk back into the gym simply because your pecs or quads are no longer sore, you are likely placing a load on your connective and nervous systems that they are not yet equipped to handle. For step 3, take a hard look at your nutrition. Write down a daily meal plan that prioritizes whole food proteins and moderate unrefined carbohydrates, and cross out the commercial liquid mass gainers. Data published in the journal Nutrients indicates that the urgent anabolic window is much wider than commonly promoted. Meta-analyses have shown no significant difference in hypertrophy between individuals consuming protein immediately after training and those waiting several hours. Focus instead on the quality of the building blocks. Many commercial mass gainers rely on maltodextrin, an industrial starch with a glycemic index that can exceed table sugar. You can secure a more complete amino acid profile, plus essential minerals like zinc, magnesium, and potassium from whole animal proteins and micronutrient-dense fruits. Consistently spiking your system with these refined starches drives chronic insulin elevation. Over time, this leads to insulin resistance and systemic inflammation, creating a physiological environment that favors fat storage over tissue repair. Natural bodybuilding legend Ron Williams avoided refined sugars and never consumed carbohydrates in isolation, specifically to keep insulin sensitivity high. By maintaining this sensitivity and utilizing intermittent fasting, the body can more effectively leverage the overnight pulse of growth hormone to support muscle preservation and fat oxidation. Providing high-quality building blocks and maintaining a sensitive, balanced hormonal environment dictates natural growth far more than the timing of a locker room shake. Finally, step 4. Write down one parasympathetic recovery activity to perform daily, like a low-intensity outdoor walk or committing to a strict 8-hour sleep schedule. We mandate this because chronic psychological and physiological stress is a primary chemical blocker of muscle growth. Stress continually releases cortisol into your bloodstream, and cortisol is directly catabolic. It promotes muscle protein breakdown. This diagram illustrates the hormonal trade-off. Your body operates on a balance. When chronic life stress maintains elevated cortisol continuously, it physically forces your endogenous testosterone levels to drop, suppressing your primary anabolic driver. You also need to reduce mechanical stress by throwing out generic exercise lists. Study your own anatomical structure and muscle insertion points, and choose specific movements that recruit your targeted muscles without grinding your joints. The structural damage you create in the gym cannot force adaptation if chronic stress chemically neutralizes the repair signal before it even begins. Look at the protocol you have just built. You are transitioning to high-intensity cluster sets, honoring your body's prolonged neurological recovery timelines, eating whole foods, and actively managing your systemic stress. Natural development demands patience. It is inherently slower than chemically assisted bodybuilding, but aligning your training with your actual physiological realities corrects the exact errors that cause most people to stall. For your next gym session, take this exact framework with you. Apply the cluster set, reach genuine physical failure, and feel what it actually takes to breach that adaptation threshold. Muscle growth is a physiological response. It only happens when a highly intense mechanical stimulus is delivered inside a fiercely protected, recovery-permissive environment. Master both sides of that equation, and your body will have no choice but to adapt.